I normally give a presentation at the professional training course on the ICCE, which is an overview of the whole package. I'm assuming this morning that most of you know something about ICCE. So if anybody doesn't know, then apologies, and I hope you can follow this. So the ICCE is a complete package, and I really want to emphasise that today. It caters for a wide range of abilities, running from students with learning disabilities and difficulties right through to high intelligence students. So it's for everyone, and therefore you don't really need to add anything else. And I want to emphasise this because a lot of the time we're finding people do want to add or don't think it's enough. But it is enough for your child. In fact, it's more than enough for your child to receive a good education. It is a complete package. It has 6 levels of achievement. That might sound slightly confusing, but I'll explain in a minute because most of you probably think it only has 5. But we have actually just agreed to add another level to the package. So the first certificate, the basic certificate, is for students with learning disabilities and difficulties. And that is fairly self-explanatory, I think. It's for children who aren't going to get any further than basic. You don't do basic and then go up to the next level. And therefore it is quite flexible to meet the needs of individual students. I don't think I need to say anything more about that really. So we'll go on to the next one. Some of you might be pleased to know that we are adding an honours certificate to this package, which we hadn't originally done. The ICCE has been going since September 2004, so that's nearly 4 years now. And the board at their last meeting recently decided and agreed that we would add an honours level certificate. We haven't quite worked out the details of that yet, but I felt it right to announce that today. So we do in fact have 6 levels. Foundation is the next level. Foundation is for less able pupils or pupils who come on the programme late. Okay. We do have quite a few students coming on late, and by late I mean aged 13, 14, 15 years old. 13 isn't really late, but by the time you get to 15 it certainly is late. But you can still join the programme. However, most students who join it at age 15 will probably, in most cases, not want to go any further or not be able to go any further because it does take time to adjust to the ACE programme. So the foundation certificate is for those pupils. And that's what it includes, which you probably already know, ACE level 8 plus 1 option. And so the foundation is a certificate where again you're not going to go any further. If you do the foundation and you apply for a foundation, you don't go any further. Okay. Similar to 7 GCSE short courses, grade A star to C, which some of you may be familiar with. And I would emphasise that even though it's not, it doesn't seem to be a very high level of achievement, it's still a high level because of the way the ACE programme runs. Because whatever level they achieve, they're achieving a high standard, aren't they? We don't have people passing with a grade F or whatever. This is why we say that all our certificates are equivalent, or not equivalent, but similar to high grades of GCSEs, A-levels or whatever. The next level, which is the general, for average ability pupils, I'm going to talk a bit more about that later. It's up to the end of ACE level 9, plus, as you probably know, a science project, a social studies essay, 2 options. Now, you may think, oh, why 2? I thought it was 3. Well, if you notice further up, in the required courses, we have now added IT, information technology. Computer literacy, information technology is now a requirement for general level. It's not an option any longer. You have to do it. Therefore, the student can choose 2 further options. It used to be an option, but it's not anymore. And this level is similar to 9 GCSE full courses, grades A star to C again. I'm going through this quite quickly because we don't have very long, and there are a few other things I want to say afterwards, but I just want to lay this foundation first of all so that you've got a complete overview. The intermediate certificate for above average pupils. So not all students are going to do this level, but for those who are, it includes 12 units, ICCE level 10, 3 out of 4 pieces of coursework. Please note that some people seem to think that they have to do all 4, which is fine, but you don't really want to have to ask them to do any more than they need to do. So they can choose to do 3 essays. They don't have to do another science project, or they can do another science project, which has to be completely different from the one that they've done from general level. It can't just be an add-on to the one they did at general level. It has to be a different theme completely. Or they can do, 3 essays or 2 essays and 1 science project, plus 2 options again. And that is similar to AS levels. And then we have the advanced certificate, which is for high ability pupils. University entry standard, ICCE levels 11 and 12. This includes 6 full units. That means 6 sets of 12 paces usually, plus 3 pieces of coursework. And these pieces of coursework will be of a higher level, a higher standard than the coursework they've done at previous levels. And therefore, those 3 pieces of coursework will be worth 1 whole credit, 1 whole unit. The essays are longer, they're more demanding. The maths paper, the science project will all put a much greater demand on the student, and we will require a much higher standard for those pieces of coursework at advanced level. There are a range of bias courses to suit the needs of individual students, and you need to be very careful how you guide your students in this. You know, if you can see where they're going, you need to think well ahead of what are they going to do at advanced level if they're going to do it. You know, are they going to do the standard advanced course, or do they need to do a bias course for what they want to do afterwards? And then we also have the honours certificate, which again, as I said, we haven't decided exactly how it's going to be, but we have some ideas. And this is for exceptionally able students who are going to finish advanced level early. You know, they're going to be 16 maybe when they finish advanced level, which is exceptional. And they need to stay in full-time education, really. And I'll talk a bit more about that in a minute as well. But it will probably be 6 courses plus 3 pieces of coursework. Probably, but we haven't finally decided the content of the honours level yet. But it will be quite demanding. It will be much more demanding than the NCSC honours was. There are options at all levels. Some non-ACE curriculum. Rosetta Stone language courses are becoming very popular. Some Alpha Omega material. There is scope for practical subjects such as art, typing and music. ESC entries for credit are accepted as options at all levels, and these should be started when they reach ACE level 9. So points to remember. I'd just like to, before I go much further, I'd like to talk a bit now about some factors surrounding each level. As I said, general level is similar to 9 GCSE full courses. However, you know, when we say things are similar to other things, it's hard to define what we really mean, because the GCSE package in itself is not worth anything like what it was 30 years ago. By contrast, our certificate is exactly the same. It's worth exactly the same. It's exactly the same standard as it was 30 years ago. In the days, thank you, in the days of GCSEs, let me just read some statistics to you. In the UK in 1988, 18% of students got grade A in English O-level. Okay, in 1988, I'm sorry that's not up here. 1988, 18% of students got A grade GCSE, or GCEs it was then, English O-level. In the year 2000, 40% got grade A English GCSE. And in 2007, 49% got grade A. So what's going on here? I think it goes without saying what is happening in the state system. So it's good to know that our system does not change. Many who come on our programme, having been in the state school, comment to us that our standards are much higher than what their children have been used to in a state school. Almost without exception, if a child comes out of a state school, maybe 11, 12 years old, 13 years old, they're having to do gap paces to fill in sometimes very wide gaps in their knowledge of English and maths. So we know that our system is good. We know that our standards are high. I believe that anyone achieving general level certificate is doing very well. It is a demanding course, you know, and I would say it's actually much more demanding than 9 GCSE grade A's, actually. And, you know, not all will be able to achieve it. We need to discern where the child's gifts and talents lie. It may not be in academics. You know, not everyone is an academic. That doesn't make them any better or worse than anybody else. And I'd just like to quote something to you from our university handbook. And I'd just like to quote to you something that is written in that handbook. Beware, being able to plod diligently through the work is not the same as having a high ability. This is important. Trying for a university course which is far beyond the student's natural ability is a recipe for disaster. Because ICCE requires all students to achieve in all areas, it can look as if they all have the same ability. This is not so. A good education can and often does increase ability, especially when God is in it, but it does not make a genius out of someone of average academic ability. So I found that is very important, and we need to realise that, because, you know, our system is an individualised system, isn't it? And we need to treat every child as an individual, and don't just put them all in the category of, oh yes, well you're all going to do general level, or you're all going to do advanced level. You can't do that. Every child is individual, and we of all people should know that. I'm talking now about determining the level to aim for, the level that each child should aim for. So, you know, we need to take great care of how we decide what the child should be aiming for. Because if you're trying to put a child into a category that they don't really fit into, what's going to happen? They're going to become demotivated, discouraged, and they're probably not going to achieve anything anyway. So we need to discern what their ability really is, what their gifts are. Are they academic, or are they a genius in music, for example? You know, there's a difference, and we need to find what the will of God is for each child. So as they embark on the ICCE programme, you really need to pray about them. You need to talk about them. What are their aspirations? What are their dreams? You know, what has God put in their hearts for them to do in life? And this is all about training them up in the way they should go. You know, what does that verse really mean? It doesn't just mean, oh yeah, you should go that way. This is the way I'm telling you to go. That's not what it means. It means training them up in the way that God wants them to go. You know, and so often we try and fit them into what we think they should be doing. And sometimes as parents we want to we want for our children what we've had ourselves, or we want better than what we've had. But that's not what it's all about. It's about discerning the will of God for your own child and discerning what their ability actually is and where their gifts lie. You may in your school have two 17-year-olds. One is well on his way to completing advanced level, and he's getting there quite easily. And by the way, a good way to discern how to tell if they do have a high ability is, are they getting through their work easily? Are they achieving high grades in every test, 96 or above? These are an indicator of high ability. A student who struggles to achieve or has to work extra hard to achieve will not likely have a very high academic ability, although he may do well in things where diligence and thoroughness are required. So you may have two 17-year-olds. One is well on his way to completing advanced level, whereas the other is still working very hard to complete general level. However, the lower ability child may be a brilliant musician, whereas the higher academic ability child may be tone deaf. So they can encourage one another. They can help one another and learn to appreciate each other's strengths and weaknesses. After all, ACE isn't just about academics. And I think as teachers, as intellectuals maybe, as some of you might be, we tend to have the mindset of, you know, if you're not academically able, then you're stupid, or, you know, you're inferior. Maybe none of you think that way, but I think it's a mindset that comes from the world that we need to get rid of completely. You know, we promote our system of education because, and the very reason that we promote it is that it's not just about academics, is it? It's about character, it's about knowing God, and really those are the most important things. So I just want to encourage you today, don't make academic achievement the benchmark in your school or home school. Okay, it is not the main thing. Encourage them to achieve as much as they're able. Discern between laziness and ability. That's another one, isn't it? But don't put demands on them that cause undue pressure or stress. And I know what that's like because I've done it myself. And it really does just, it doesn't do them any good at all, does it? When we put demands on them because we think they've got the ability, but really they haven't. Different children can handle different amounts of stress, different amounts of different demands. So let's treat them all as individuals and encourage them to appreciate each other's gifts, talents and leanings. Stay on ACE as long as possible. Really want to emphasize this. We seem to have quite a lot of students who go to general level and then leave the program, you know, at 15 or 16. They're leaving the program and going to college to do A-levels. Well, there's no need to do that. There really is no need. ICCE is a complete package, and I would encourage you to keep your students on this program as long as possible. There is no need for them to go to a college to do A-levels. It's, in fact, you know, I really try and warn people off going to college. It's okay, it's different if they've reached general and that's their academic ceiling. They can't go any further. They want to go to college to do a vocational course. That is different. But just to go and do A-levels, I think is pointless, to be honest. And it's dangerous. You know, going to college is a completely different culture. A 16-year-old is not mature enough to handle a lot of the pressures that will come to them, peer pressures. Even the way of learning is totally different. We had one student who did this, and in the first term, the mother rang up and said, we've changed our minds about college. We want to come back onto ICCE. And I said, oh, praise the Lord. So, you know, they should stay on this programme until they finished their education, okay? Or unless they're going to further education, which would be university or, as I said, a college vocational course. I just wanted to say a quick word about the Qualifications Curriculum Authority, which we have been trying to get recognition from. The board feels this is really important. We feel we need to do this for the sake of the children. And so we are pursuing QCA recognition. We realise that there are some things we need to change. In fact, we need to make some big changes. But we are pursuing it. And so we actually are taking steps now to set up a separate additional exam board. We do realise that there are some weaknesses in our system, and we are working to strengthen them, such as British and European history, which will hopefully be ready in the autumn. We are working a lot on maths to improve the standard of maths and biology as well. So we are working on these areas which we do acknowledge we are weak in. So please pray for us. Thank you.